Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so Skip, Shannon, let's get to it.
Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from LA. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. Guys, good morning. How are we doing over there?
Morning. So, your man LeBron James made a very wise choice tonight because he's going to watch this Clippers game safely from the bench so he can avoid embarrassment.
Skip, we already talked about this. I told you on Monday that we were going to sit this one out. And we're going to sit tomorrow night out, too.
Are you? Well, that would be a big L at Portland also.
Right now, we need LeBron to be healthy and focused on the playoffs. I even agree with that. We got to get him feeling well. But yes, unfortunately, we will not be seeing him. Tonight, of course, Skip will be all in on the Clippers. We'll get to them. But there is drama in Green Bay that I cannot get enough of. And that drama continues to build up between Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, despite us never hearing directly from Rodgers as things continue to leak out. The latest reports are that Rodgers often refers to GM Brian Gutekunst as Jerry Krause in group chats with teammates, making reference to Michael Jordan's adversary in the Last Dance documentary. There's also rumors that Rodgers wants Gutekunst or his backup, quarterback Jordan Love, gone if he is to return, among other things. So, Shannon, do you like the way he is handling this?
Well, Skip, I don't have a problem with it. I think the thing is what has transpired is that, Skip, we hear these stories, two brothers get into a fight over a piece of chicken or somebody did this. But, Skip, that's not the issue. There was something else that led up to this. There's a reason why Aaron Rodgers, now the frustration has bubbled over. There are a lot of little issues that could have been resolved that weren't resolved. Now, this might be the final straw. The Jordan Love might be the final straw that broke the proverbial camel's back. But there are a lot of little issues. The Alex Van Pelt, the Kumaro, the Jared Cook. There are a lot of things that led us to this. Maybe not being heard about Mike McCarthy and getting the massages on Saturday, not doing walkthrough. I believe this was the final straw, but there are a lot of other little issues that were behind the scenes, Skip, a lot of little brush fires that could have been put out, but then you let them get to be a forest fire. Not everybody get an opportunity to see just how big the blaze is. And that's what we're seeing here. And when he refers to Brian Gutekunst as Jerry Krause believed it was him and organizations that build championships. Well, Michael Jordan says, hold on, what? There was no championship playing when I had 102-degree fever, Skip. And if you notice, Skip, a lot of the things, the way they would belittle. Now, I don't agree, you know, saying a little thing, calling him little man, and doing little gestures like that, Skip. I think sometimes it can go overboard. But you see, it was a lot of little things that led to the dissension that Michael Jordan and a lot of the players had towards Jerry Krause. And this is a very similar situation. A lot of little things build up into this one big thing. Skip, and for me, a lot of people hold it against Jerry Krause. Even Jared Reinsdorf, once you see that Last Dance, that Jared Reinsdorf, he skated for a long time because everybody disliked Jerry Krause so much. But Jared Reinsdorf could have put a stop to this. And they say, you know what? Both of you guys ended this championship run prematurely. And it seems to me Mark Murphy and Brian Gutekunst is trying to end this championship window of the Packers prematurely. Well, you drafted a guy that you felt was going to be able to replace Aaron Rodgers. Your Weezy, very connected to the Packers, got his ear to the ground, says, hey, they really like Jordan Love. So I don't really know what the holdup is. Now, you moved up in a draft to select a guy, you moved from 30 to 26 to select Jordan Love. You're hearing that, oh, guy playing pretty good. So I don't know what's the reason why you want to hold on to him. You weren't willing to commit because that's why you took Jordan Love. So Aaron Rodgers is like, okay, you weren't willing to commit. You've been saying all these things. The Packers have been leaking a lot of stuff. But nobody, oh, you heard that what they said about, yep, I believe everything that they said, everything that's coming out about Aaron Rodgers, everybody wanted to believe. Now Aaron Rodgers' team possibly is leaking things. Well, Aaron is handling it so wrong. You shouldn't handle it like that. You didn't have a problem with the Packers handling it the way they handled it, leaking stuff about Aaron Rodgers. This is where we are right now, Skip. And it seems like every single day things get more and more out of hand. Reports about he advised free agents that he weren't going to sign back. That seemed it didn't work because Bakhtiari signed his deal last year. Aaron Jones signed his deal, two of the guys that he's probably closest to on the team. So for me, Skip, look, we all would like to keep private matters private. We'd like to keep family business because Teams always talk about we're a family. And, you know, we always like to keep our dirty laundry. We like to keep them things hidden. You know, we don't put them out there so everybody can see our business. But it is what it is now. It's here now. Green Bay, what's your best course of action? How do we get maximum value for Aaron Rodgers? Because it seems to me he's pretty dug in. He's made it abundantly clear, Skip. I'm not so sure that, you know, well, what if they trade Jordan Love? But you got to, under the assumption someone wants Jordan Love. Because you remember now, Skip, he was already down to 26. So for me, the question is, Skip, Brian Gutekunst. It seems to me Aaron Rodgers says either he go or I go. Do you want to publicly fire the GM and basically tell the entire NFL, the entire U.S. population that Aaron Rodgers is in control at Green Bay? I don't think they want to do that, but I don't really know a whole lot of other choices that they have. Aaron seems pretty dug in about not wanting to play under the current set of circumstances.
Okay, now it's my turn. I am sick and tired of this story. Aaron Rodgers is at it again, and he's pulling it off again. He is the NFL's LeBron James. He is a master media manipulator. Aaron Rodgers somehow manages to get more passes than he throws on a football field. And he is getting the biggest pass of his career right here, right now. Have we heard one peep from Aaron Rodgers yet? No. Because he has leaked his way back into somehow becoming a sympathetic figure in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Poor Aaron. They mistreat this poor man so badly after he won an MVP. You know what that MVP is worth to me? It is worth no more than the cost of making that trophy. How much would it cost to make an MVP trophy? Like $100 for the manufacturer?
No, they're really nice. They're really nice.
They're really nice. You can have it. You can put it on your mantle, and it will take you nowhere. You can't even ride the subway on that price. The point is, it is meaningless unless you cash it in the postseason.
Okay.
So how is he getting away with this again? I don't know.
He didn't get away with it.
He got away with it.
We beat him up.
Okay, here's what happened. Let's go back to your favorite word, context.
Yeah.
Let's go back and look at what was happening when they took Jordan Love. And I have absolutely no problem that they took him and that they did not inform Aaron Rodgers that they were going to take him. And I still say, on draft night, you never know how it's going to fall.
Right.
And maybe it's going to fall for you correctly. And maybe you're leaning toward this kid from Utah State, Jordan Love. You like him, but could you really trade up to snatch him before somebody else does late in the first round? And as you just pointed out, they go from 30 to 26. They don't know for sure. So you don't want to put Aaron on notice until it happens. So you have 10 minutes on the clock. You're trying to finalize a trade. And maybe you'd have 1 minute sometime in the 10 to make an emergency call to Aaron. And it's a state up in Malibu, not far from where we sit right now,
right,
and say, hey, Aaron, this deal just came through, and we're about to take your replacement, Jordan Love. How could, just because you let him know, you quote-unquote keep him in the loop, do you think that was going to make him any happier? No.
Skip. No, Skip. I'm not Skip. You could have said, look, Aaron, we're going into the draft. There's a possibility that if the guy that we're like is there, we're going to take him.
What if he's not there? What if you don't take him? Now you've opened a door that you don't want him to run through.
What you mean, Skip? You just gave him a heads up.
Okay, so what was Aaron at that point? 1 year ago, before he won this, what was his third MVP?
Third MVP.
Okay, I'm going to put you back in context because most people have lost sight of where he was at that point. Right. They had gone 13-3, but even you said, as an Aaron Rodgers fan, that it wasn't all about him. They just had one of those magical mystery ride years where everything turned right. Remember, they were a turnover machine. They were creating and cashing on turnovers like crazy. Yeah. And they were a little bit of a fraudulent 13-3. And right on time, predictably, they got exposed at San Francisco in the NFC Championship game. Aaron Rodgers stunk up that game. Again, the defense got run off the field. I give you that. By Kyle Shanahan's offense. They just literally ran them out of the stadium. But Aaron stunk again in yet another NFC Championship game. He had a QBR of 33. He had two interceptions and lost I think he lost 2 fumbles in that game. So I think he had 4 total turnovers. QBR of 33 on a scale of 0 to 100. So that was his worst QBR of his playoff career. And again, his stats had fallen in QBR and completion percentage for 5 straight seasons. They had declined down to that. And I'm going to read this one more time because it's your favorite website, Pro Football Focus, just to get us back in the moment ahead of that draft that we were all in then, that we've all forgotten about now. And the moment was that Pro Football Focus did not include Aaron Rodgers in its top 50 players. And it wrote, Rodgers has become ever more evidently part of the problem in Green Bay, and his own team spent the offseason laying plans to minimize his role in 2020 and replace him beyond that. Rodgers finished the regular season as the number 9 ranked quarterback, but over the last 8 weeks of the season, he ranked just 17th. Okay. I can argue that taking Jordan Love was the greatest thing they ever did for Aaron. It's even better than adding receivers because did it not relight his fire? Did it not get his attention? Did he not respond with an MVP season?
So I can say what Coach Belichick and them do it by Tom Brady by not re-signing him, relit the fire under Tom. Because remember his last game? You remember how he played down the stretch? Do you remember he didn't go as far as Aaron Rodgers? Aaron went to the NFC Championship game. Your guy lost in the wild card round.
Okay,
remember that?
But your guy, Aaron Rodgers, had a top 2 or 3 receiver, maybe a top 1 receiver. Tom had the worst receiving core in all the National Football League.
What about your defense? How's your defense looking? How was your defense with Coach Belichick? How was it?
I don't want to talk about that right now. I want to talk about Aaron Rodgers. I don't want you to change the subject off this because you can't defend this. So let's go back.
Okay.
He responded hugely greatly. It was an all-time great response from Aaron, thanks to them relighting his fire. They stuck him right in the tush and said, do it or don't. And he did it. And he was great in the regular season. And then what happened? Right on schedule, he gets yet another break in a playoff game. He's gotten a bunch of breaks in playoff games. He winds up getting to play against, to start the game, the backup quarterback for the Rams. And then they try to, they're forced because he gets hurt, and they have to throw Jared Goff back into the fire with a pin in the thumb of his throwing hand. And Aaron Donald, your favorite player in the league, the best defensive player in pro football, is trying to play with cracked ribs, and he is a ghost during that game. So was that not a break? And it set up Aaron's first home NFC Championship game. My dream come through at Lambeau Field against Tom Brady. And he stunk it up again. And he fell to 1-4 in championship games. And in those 5 games, he's 9 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. And I got to tell you, the one he won long ago, 10 years ago, was at Chicago, and he got to face Caleb Haney while Jay Cutler was riding the exercise bike with a sprained knee. Caleb Haney in the second half, and Aaron stunk in the second half. He ended up the game with 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and barely overcame Caleb Haney, or he would be 0-5 in championship games. This is the guy you're saying is holding Green Bay hostage. How? How has he backed it up in the playoffs?
But, okay, Skip. All that. He's washed up. Let him go.
Okay,
Why are you so hell-bent on holding on to him?
Okay, well, this is the guy who's getting away with not saying a word. Why doesn't he hold a big press conference and own it and say, I want out, and he's Jerry Krause, and I can't stand him? He should go on record instead of ducking and dodging and hiding behind anonymous quotes and leaks.
But Skip,
just say it. Do it. Own it.
You hold Aaron Rodgers to a standard, which other quarterbacks have done things behind the scenes, and you know, like you said, let's not get too far away from it. We know what transpired in New England. Tom never said anything publicly, but you expect Aaron Rodgers to. Why?
Because Tom was under attack from Bill Belichick, who was about to replace him.
Skip, they drafted Jordan Love to replace him. What's the difference?
Did you see Tom declining at that point? Because all he did after that was go to... What, in New England, he went to 3 more Super Bowls.
Coach Belichick thought he was declining. See, you keep talking about Pro Football Focus. Pro Football Focus don't pay checks, but to their employees. Coach Belichick thought Tom Brady was declining. The Green Bay Packers thought Aaron Rodgers was declining. Okay, you made a move. You said, we want Jordan Love with the 26th pick. Aaron Rodgers going to have the MVP season, takes him to the NFC Championship game. He says, okay, you have your guy now. Now I got the power back in my, let me go. What's the problem?
Well, has he said that? He's leaked it.
Whoa.
We got leaks going out. We got them from all sides. We got leaks once a day.
Let me ask you a question.
And trust me, Aaron and Brett Favre, they went to war for a long time, but now they're best buddies, right? And you can't tell me that what Brett Favre said, was it yesterday? I guess 2 days ago now. You can't tell me it didn't come from the horse's mouth.
Well, I don't know about that, but I think Brett was in a very similar situation. Because what did Brett, it ended up getting messy. They ended up trading Brett. Brett had a very contentious relationship with the Packers at the end. They ended up, getting it resolved, and Brett was able to come back. They welcomed him back with open arms. But let's not pretend like the previous situation didn't end just as badly as this one seems to be ending. My only point is, Skip, is that you're holding Aaron Rodgers. Tom Brady did not say, well, I went to Mr. Kraft and I told him he needed to have Coach Belichick train Jimmy G. That was leaked. Somebody got that out.
Okay, but that happened. That wasn't ahead of it. Wasn't like Tom was trying to talk his way out by leaking to various media outlets.
Why does Tom Brady? He's Tom Brady.
He wanted to stay.
So what?
He just wanted the job. That's all.
That's what Aaron wanted. He just wanted the job. He just wanted the job. He just didn't want y'all to go take his backup and make it seem. Skip, the guy went to the NFC Championship game at 13-3. Pro Football Focus can list all the stats you want. But what about the stat that's the most important stat? Better than QBR, better than any completion percentage or touchdowns. Win, losses. That's what's on the menu.
Okay.
Wins, losses.
And what has he done in NFC Championship games? Wins, losses. Give it to me.
Skip.
1 and 4.
Skip. He hasn't been great in the championship games. Okay, that's okay. With that being said, you should be more willing to get rid of it because he can't win the big game. Why are you holding on to him then?
Okay, but you can't hold Green Bay's feet to the fire and say, how dare you trying to replace him when it was screaming that he needed to be replaced.
Okay, well, let him go.
Okay.
He needs to be replaced. You just said it. He needed to be replaced.
Okay, can we see what happened in this last year's NFC Championship
game? We know
game?
what happened.
It's first and goal at the 8. How can you defend this? How can he be a sympathetic figure? Here's his first throw to Lazard. I don't know, he missed him by, 5 yards.
Lazard missed the hot route.
I don't know what it was. He's throwing across his body to Devontae and airmails him by 5 yards, and this is third and goal. This is it. This is it. This is why they pay you all that money. You've got a super highway to the goal line, and at the last second, you choke and throw it back across your body to a Devontae who is doubled at the goal line and just absolutely covered.
Can I ask you a question? How well did Tom Brady play in the second half of that game?
Of which game?
Against Green Bay.
Okay.
What was his stats?
Did he play well enough to win the game?
So now all you basing on is wins and losses.
Hey, that's Aaron's house. My dream comes true.
No, Skip. No. That's not what you did.
Okay.
You based it. Now, when Tom Brady, it's all about wins, losses. It's never about QBR. Okay. It's never about touchdowns.
Thank you for that. Tom Brady took his team on the road and won.
Tyler Heineke.
Huh?
Tyler Heineke.
Yeah.
So you're proud about that?
Washington, beat Drew Brees at New Orleans.
Wow.
Beat Aaron Rodgers at Lambeau, and beat Patrick Mahomes, the guy you say is Mahomes boy, who's the greatest thrower of the football ever, maybe second only to Aaron Rodgers. He beat him back to back.
Can I ask you a question?
That's all he did.
Let me ask you a question.
You can't even start that argument.
You keep saying everybody gets a break. Okay, Aaron Rodgers, Bakhtiari, he loses Bakhtiari. He goes Drew Brees. Drew Brees was doing so well in that game. Guess what he did? He retired shortly thereafter. Patrick Mahomes, basically none of the offensive linemen that played last year will be on the field the following season. But that's okay. Skip, my only thing is with you is that what you use against Aaron Rodgers is about QBR and what Pro Football Focus says. What about wins and losses? He was 13-3 and went to the NFC Championship game, and you wanted to replace him. Okay, he didn't get it done again this year, but he went to the championship game 13-3, 48-4. You got your guy. Why are you so hell-bent on holding on to him? Just let him go.
All I care about is since that long ago Super Bowl, and he went 4-0 in that run as a wild card road team, right? And they escaped in Philadelphia in the first game. Do you remember that? It was against Michael Vick and the Philadelphia Eagles. And Aaron played pretty well in that game. Michael played pretty well in that game, but Michael had him on the ropes. 1st and 10 at their 27 with 44 seconds left, and Michael made one bad choice.
The whole shebang.
And he threw it to, guess who? Riley Cooper. Maybe that was the first problem. And he missed him, and Trevon Williams said, Thank you. I got this, and that was the end of that game. Right. So they were lucky to win that game. And then he played great at Matt Ryan, and then he beat Pittsburgh in the Super Bowl. I give you that. But since then, he's 7-8. And when I look at the 7 he's won, it's against Joe Webb and Kirk Cousins and the Dez Cauditt game and the Odell took the trip to South Beach game for the playoff game on the frozen tundra. And then I'm not finished yet. And then you got the Mason Crossbar game at Jerry World. Those are 2 lucky long field goals. And then you got the Jared Goff, Aaron Donald Hurt game. Well, you're just lucky. You're blessed. You're blessed to win a lot of those games. So 7-8 since the Super Bowl. I don't know. He's a choke artist in the postseason. And I said it, and I will stand by it. And nobody wants to talk about that.
Skip. But see, this is what you do with Aaron Rodgers. You said Aaron Rodgers, but you never said Tom Brady went up with a decade without winning Super Bowl.
Brady's won 7 Super Bowls.
Skip, he didn't win 7 before he went 10 years.
You're offending me by even bringing up Tom Brady. They don't belong in the same galaxy.
Let me ask you a question.
Does Aaron Rodgers compare to Tom Brady?
Did he have 7? Did he have 7?
Because it's all you've got, and you keep changing the subject to Tom Brady, and it's wrong. You're invalidating your own argument.
No, my valid argument is that you don't use. You never said Tom Brady went 2005 to 2015 before he won another championship. You didn't say a word.
I only talked about that 1,000 times.
Did you
say
TV? Tom Brady's going a decade without winning a Super Bowl?
Yes, I've said it 1,000 times. No. It was going on before I even came to this network. It was going on for a long time.
All you talked about how great he was. Drew Brees went 12 years and he didn't win a championship. Okay, it happens.
It's all about wins and losses. Aaron Rodgers won 1 Super Bowl that he got to.
Yes.
Tom's gotten to 10 and won 7 of them. 10 and 7? What are you talking about?
That's my point. Okay, he's a choke guy. Why is Green Bay so hell-bent on holding on to a choke guy?
It's time for an auction. It's time for the highest bidder, and they need to hold everybody's feet to the fire because he's the greatest thrower of the football ever. Doesn't matter that he wants to be the Jeopardy full-time host. Just go ahead. If he's what you think he is, then your Denver Broncos should pony up right now. And I'm talking about 3 first-round choices and throw in Patrick Surtain. That's what they should do. That's what he is. You say he's the greatest quarterback ever. He's better than Tom Brady, says Shannon Sharpe.
Skip.
Let's do it. Let's go.
Now all of a sudden.
I say do it, Green Bay.
Now all of a sudden, 3 first-rounders and Patrick Surtain.
Why not? He's that guy. That's what you told me.
So let me ask you a question. Do you believe somebody would have gave up 3 first-rounders and the #1 draft pick for Tom Brady last year?
Well, they should have.
They would have would they have?
Did I not sit here and say, San Francisco, you should sign Tom Brady now? Did I not say, Dallas, you should sign Tom Brady right now?
That's not what we said
I said it. I said he was worth it. You said he was washed. You said he was in decline.
It's not about signing. Would somebody have given up 3 first-rounders and their #1 draft pick that was a top 10 to sign Tom Brady last year?
Would they do it now? Yes! That's
hindsight.
I first guessed it sitting right here.
Skip.
And you won't listen to me. Skip. I'm ahead of your curve every time. I said it.
Skip. It's easy to say I should have bought a lottery ticket after the ticket has been sold.
I said
it's easy to say
I first guessed it.
Skip.
I said it first.
Skip, it's not about signing. I ask you a simple question. With someone last year.
I don't care. I know what I would have done. It's all that matters right here.
Skip,
it's what I would have done.
It's easy to say, Skip. It's easy to say that as you're sitting out, but you got to talk about it from a team perspective. What team was going to give up 3 first-rounders?
Okay, what does it matter what Tom Brady? This is about Aaron Rodgers. I say your Denver Broncos are on the clock. You want him in Denver. Do it.
Skip. They're not
pay the freight.
Skip, they're not giving up 3 first-rounders.
Why not?
I believe they'll give up 2. And Patrick Surtain. Yes, I do.
Okay. Well, I think it could be more than that because let's have a big auction. Come one, come all.
All right, guys. All right. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time. We're not going to finish it right now. We're going to get back to Aaron. I promise. No mercy. Guys, how about this? Russell Westbrook notched his 179th career triple-double last night, just 2 shy from Oscar Robertson's all-time record. While Westbrook still has yet to win a championship, Oscar doesn't believe that should be held against the Wizards point guard. The Hall of Famer said, quote, "I think it's ridiculous that some sports writers criticize him because he has not won a championship. Players don't win championships by themselves. You've got to have good management. You need to get the right group of players." Shannon, does he have a point here?
He does have a point, and I think the thing is that Oscar's speaking from firsthand experience because, Skip, when he's on those Cincinnati teams, what kept happening to him? He kept running into Boston. He kept running into the Sixers. We know what the Boston Celtics had with Russell, Cousy, and the Jones and all those, Tommy Heinsohn, and then Will had all those.
For our younger players, younger viewers, once upon a time, Cincinnati had a NBA team called the Royals.
The Royals, yes, they did. Yes, they did.
Yep.
And so he's speaking from firsthand experience. He's like, I caught a lot of criticism because I couldn't get Cincinnati past the team that had 8, 9 Hall of Famers, and then I couldn't get past a team that had 3 or 4 Hall of Famers, and then who had the greatest player at the time in Wilt Chamberlain.
Yep.
And people criticized me, and I was putting up very similar stats to what Russell is doing, or what Russell Westbrook is doing, Skip. But this is what I believe is in play here. I believe if Russ were to be putting up the numbers that he's putting up and got his team past the first round, I don't believe he would be receiving the criticism. He was going to get some, Skip, because he's a great player, and we expect great players to be able to overcome some things. But, Skip, let's not pretend that Russell Westbrook didn't have Kevin Durant for 8 years. Let's not pretend he didn't play with PG for 2 years. Let's not pretend he didn't have James Harden. And for the most part, he hadn't won a playoff series since KD left. He hasn't gotten out of the first round since KD left. So let's not pretend like Russell Westbrook hadn't played with great players because he had KD for 8 years. Went to one finals, lost a couple of times in their Western Conference finals. But for me, Skip, is that you got to get past the first round. He took averaged 30 shots a game in the series against Houston. They lost in the first round. Took 39 shots in the game 5, lost against Utah. He scored 43, but it took him 39 shots. He took 31 shots in game 5, lost to Portland. Skip, what people, I don't think they criticize Russ. I don't believe Russ always makes the right play in the right moment. Sometimes a lot of times he takes it upon himself. And sometimes it's about making the right play, even if it doesn't involve you scoring the basketball. So for me, should he get criticized? I think all great players are going to get criticized eventually until they actually win the title. Some of the criticism is fair. It is absolutely fair. And when I look at 179 triple-doubles, you're like, well, damn, yeah, he's putting up those triple-doubles, but what is it? Ain't got no titles. And think about it, Skip. It took Oscar. He had to leave, go to Milwaukee, team up with Kareem. That was in his 11th year. His best years was behind him. And you know what Kareem was when Kareem first got. If you want to talk about dominant, you talk about what Shaq and Embiid and all these guys do, go look up Kareem from about 70 until about 79. Look at Kareem's numbers. All he did was win 6 MVPs in that time frame. In about a 10-year time span, he won 6 MVPs. Go look at Kareem. And that's what, and Oscar's saying, yeah, you need management, you need other great players. But Russ is going to get some criticism because he is a great player, and he hasn't gotten basically past the first round since KD left.
Okay. I have nothing but the utmost respect for the great Oscar Robertson.
And we talk about point guard, we don't never mention Oscar.
Yeah, because he's kind of a point forward. He's kind of somewhere in between at about 6'5", but he was, for his era, he was a forward.
With a big body.
Big body. Strong. Played strong. Did it all.
He did.
I'm going to say it one more time about Russell Westbrook. Scotty Brooks, his coach, said the other day that he's now the second best point guard in Scott Brooks' eyes in the history of the game to Magic. And that puts him above Stockton or whoever else, or Jason Kidd or Steve Nash. Isaiah. You can throw them all up in there. I'll go one step farther. Russell Westbrook is simply the most explosive box score point guard we have ever seen. Nobody on all 3 levels can detonate a box score the way this man can.
Only Will could, Skip. Nobody at that size.
I'm talking about point guard.
At his size, nobody can touch him.
He can get you 40 points. He can get you
20 rebounds.
At least 25 rebounds. And he can get you 25 assists on any given night. Never seen anything like this before. He is averaging the 4th most minutes in the league. He is an all-time warrior and gamer. He will fight you to the death. And he fought Milwaukee at Milwaukee last night to the death.
He almost did it.
He almost pulled it off. And just in the biggest picture, He's going to average, once again, a triple-double for the season.
Yes.
He's going to do it again. That's the 4th time in 5 years.
Yes.
He sacrificed for James last year in Houston, so that's the one time in the last 5 he didn't do this. He is going to lead the league in assists. That would be for the 3rd time in the last 4 years. That's pretty special, right?
And hell, he's going to be top 5 in rebounding. For a guard.
Top 5 in rebounds. And obviously he's 2 triple-doubles away from tying Oscar and 3 away from breaking. And I'm pretty sure he's going to get it this year. You just know, and I know he's going to get it. Okay, now for the downside. When we talked about this the other day, I said, I'll give you the box score player. But if I got one game for my life, I don't want Russ as my point guard. I'm sorry, I don't.
I agree with that.
He wouldn't even be in my top 20 one game for my life.
Right.
I don't want to be too harsh with this, but to me, in the end, the best way I can explain it is he's not a winning basketball player. He's not a natural gifted passer of the basketball. He's bull in China shop. He does it by force and by absolute. He wills assists, but they're not smooth and easy and natural, and they don't always contribute to the bottom line, which is up on the scoreboard. So I'm going to remind everybody, he's leading the league in assists. He's also running away with the turnovers in this league. And you can always say, if you got the ball in your hands. Okay, but he's only 8th in usage rate. So that's not, he's not first or second. But he is number 1 by far. He's now 30 turnovers ahead of your man Luka in Dallas. 30. He's 287 to 257. So I admire the warrior in him, but sometimes it's for the wrong reasons, where he's a stat monster in his head. I gotta. And in the end, there are plays that need to get made, and I'm about to show you a couple of them, that he doesn't routinely make. And I'm going to let's keep it real here. He is this year a 31% three-point shooter. So he's a liability from there. Last year in Houston, he was 26%, so he's up a little bit from that. This year, he's making 64% of his free throws. Well, we used to talk about Lonzo being a 50% free throw shooter. As a point guard, especially at this level that Russell's playing at, you got to be better than 64. You got to be 90. That's what you got to do for a living,
especially as many times he's getting to the basket, because he's going to the basket. He's going to get to the basket, and you know and I know he's going to get fouled. So what I admire about him is, he said the other day, he just casually mentioned, he said he played through a torn quad early this year. And they fell to 17-32 on April 5th, and they've been on a pretty good tear. They're 13-4, and they almost pulled that game out last night, but that's since April 5th. So they're now in the 10 seed, the 10 spot, which is barely in the play-in, but they're going to make it. They're going to, and it's going to be fun to watch. And I couldn't stop watching the game last night, because you want to talk about must-see TV. Oh, they're going to scare somebody. Because Bradley Beal can drop 40 on you. Russ can go get you 30 with 20-20. So they're going to scare the hell out of somebody.
So Russ plays just about the whole fourth quarter. And guess what he does last night at Milwaukee? I got Giannis in the fourth quarter. And if we could see what he pulled off on Giannis, this was later in the game.
Would he got a 6th foul on him?
Yeah, he got, I don't think it was a 6th foul, was it? It might have been.
When Giannis tried to post him?
Yeah.
Oh, no, okay. Yeah, this is it, right?
Yeah. Look, this is Russell guarding him. And he got the call.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he said, I got him. Well, what's Giannis, 6'11"?
Yes.
And Russ is 6'3". And he's saying, I got him. And he was pretty good on him the whole fourth quarter. He bothered him the whole fourth quarter.
That was a 6th foul. They fouled him out.
Okay. Yeah. So now we get to the 2 other plays that caught my eye and stuck in my craw. With 4:27 left, the score is tied. And if we could see what Russell does, this is the kind of play this is not a winning play. You just can't do that. You got a chance to take the lead, and you do that. It's out of control basketball.
Looked like he got caught in between. I was going to cross him.
He did, but you can't do it. If you're going to win the game at Milwaukee, you can't give them the ball like that. You can't allow a whole possession to be lost that quickly. Okay, and then he has a shot from 8 feet away in the lane, and this is for the lead. This is 2:57 left in the game. 2:37, I'm sorry. 2:37, and here's his shot. Huh? What was that? Okay. And too often he'll take those kind of shots, and it's a forced shot, and I don't think anybody touched the ball. I think he got caught, and he was kind of up in the air, and he wasn't sure whether he should even shoot it or not, and he left it about 2 feet short. Well, you're not going to win that game with that turnover and that shot. Well, too often we've watched big playoff games where you'll see a couple of those plays down the stretch, and then they lose by a point. Right? Well, I can't sum him up any better than last night because he was extraordinary. He was extraordinary.
Yes.
We run out of superlatives. we don't have any more, except you have to remember, poor three-point shooter, poor free throw shooter, leading the league in turnovers, and in PER, he ranks 61st in player efficiency rating. 61st?
He's not efficient. I mean, he doesn't, like you said, he doesn't shoot the three well. He turns the ball over. He doesn't shoot from 2-point well. So no, he's not efficient.
Okay, so obviously, if we could have teamed him up with the Golden State Warriors going back 4 years ago, like KD did, maybe he'd have a chance to win a ring.
I don't know.
But again, I'm with you. I don't know either.
No,
I'm not sure.
I don't know if his style, KD style mesh anywhere. Basically, you got to just let him be him.
You do.
You have to let him be himself. Skip, I said he played 3 years with James Harden. He played 3 years at OKC, 1 year in Houston. So he played 4 total years with Harden.
Yes.
Skip, like I said, look, this is not a knock, but at the end of what we've done, Skip, is that if we like someone, if we like them, championships doesn't matter.
Okay.
If we don't like you, you better get some championships. So I think the thing is, and that's why you see guys started going this place and that place to get that title. Because I got tired of hearing, well, Michael Jordan got a title, and Larry Bird and Magic Johnson and Kareem and Kobe and Shaq and yada, Tim Duncan, yada, yada, yada. It's like, okay, I'm going to go shut your mouth up, go get me a title, and then I can go do what I can be at ease. KD's at ease now. He go to Brooklyn. KD say, you know what? Y'all want me to go to the Knicks. I don't want to go to the Knicks. I want to go to the Nets. I got titles. Y'all know what I am. So now what?
Okay.
So, but Russ, I sincerely, genuinely believe if Russ doesn't win a title, Russ is not going to lose 1 minute of sleep.
I totally concur. And yet, by the way, our man Nelly texted me the other day and pretty much summed it up for me. Nelly really knows his sports. And he said, if Russ never wins a ring, I'll still take his career over Charles Barkley's career. And obviously Charles didn't win a ring either. Bingo. Agreed. Because his career is going to have superlatives all over it.
You know what it's going to be?
It's going to have achievements and individual goals.
When we have the discussion, greatest player never to win a championship.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's that guy.
He's going to be with Karl Malone. He's going to be with Charles Barkley. He's going to be with somebody.
He may be at the top of the list.
Baylor, yes. You're right.
Okay.
It's triple-double look easy, and I love that Nelly's reaching out to you. I wish I was friends with Nelly in a lot of ways. Okay, we're going to talk about the Clippers here, and this is important because, remember, Paul George and the Clippers, and sorry to remind you, Skip, they collapsed in the NBA playoff bubble last season with an early exit. But in the month of April, George, he's averaged over 27 points a game and might be heating up in time for the playoffs. The Clippers and Lakers face off tonight, but are also teetering on the edge of facing each other in the first round. When asked about the potential playoff matchup, George said, quote, "We are still trying to move up, regardless of what the Lakers are doing. We are worried about us." So, Shannon, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you trust Paul George in this year's playoffs?
Yeah, Shannon.
My college jersey number, 2.
2?
2.
Really?
2. Skip,
why were you 2?
Yeah, you know, my brother was 2, so, you know.
He was 2 where?
In South Carolina.
He was?
Yeah.
Why was he 2?
I don't know why he just chose that number. He was 3. Well, he was 3 in high school. I was 3 in high school. He was 2 in college. I was 2. 84. Why do you
want to be number 1?
No. Okay.
Not good luck.
Okay. Number 2. So you're giving Paul George a 2 possibility.
Because guess what, Skip? We've seen this. People make it seem like we have not seen Paul George play exemplary in the regular season, only to follow that up with some bull jive come postseason. Skip, you do remember he was third in the MVP in 2019, averaged 28, 8, and 5. And what did he do against Portland? Gone. Got mad at Dame Lillard because Dame Lillard dropped a 38-foot on him and told him that was a bad shot.
Yep.
Skip, people don't realize. Do they realize that Paul George shot 41% from the 3 last year? He's shooting 42 this year.
It's pretty good.
So it's not like all of a sudden he went from 32 to 42. He went from 41 to 42.
Okay.
How about this here? This is what Paul George has done. In Game 7 against the Nuggets last year, he had 10 points. He was 4 of 16, 0 for 6 in the fourth quarter. In the elimination game, Game 6 against Utah in 2018, he had 5 points. A very nice spade hand. 5.
And
2
by
of
the way,
16.
Russ was out of his mind.
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell, they just went back and forth. Remember that?
Game 4 of Cleveland, they got swept by LeBron last year there. 5 of 21. Now, Paul George hadn't won a playoff series, and only one in the last 6 years. They beat Dallas without Porzingis. So, Skip, I've seen this movie the last 6 years. I've seen 1, 2, 3. It's like a Fast and Furious. They up to 9 now. I already know how it's going to end. This PG-13 fix. I already know how it's going to end, and so do you. You hoping if you got to change it, they got a new director. See, in other words, they had Doc Rivers, they had Scotty Brooks. So now they got T. Lue directing this thing, and you hoping for a different. But the actors are still the same.
No,
the theme
they're
is still
not.
the same. The theme, the movie.
No. We got a whole bunch of new co-stars. In fact, I think Paul's now one of the B-list stars on this team.
That's not what he's thinking. That's not what he's thinking.
Well, there's this guy named Rondo who won you a championship last year and is about to win the Clippers a championship this year.
Man,
he's an A-list.
You better stop.
We got Nicholas Batum. We got Serge Ibaka, who's about to be back from his back injury.
But I will tell you this. Marcus Morris is playing his tail off.
He is. He was obviously there last year, but they've added Luke Kennard and DeMarcus Cousins. He's 16 and 11 the last couple times out. Hey, no Montrez anymore. That's addition by subtraction.
Don't try to do that.
Sweet Lou, lemon pepper Lou, addition by subtraction.
Did you see what they did last night to the Suns?
Yep.
Did you see?
Yep. Because they finally taught little Maestre that you have to just be the point guard. You can't shoot threes anymore, and he's not shooting threes. He doesn't jack them up anymore. So that's what's happening.
Trey gonna get right against the Knicks. That's what I'm
he's right. He's doing what's right. He's 12 assists last night. That's what's right.
Yeah.
You are sleeping on these Clippers. You're sleeping on this man, Paul George.
No, I ain't sleeping on the Clippers. I'm sleeping on him.
Okay, so you are predicting he will return to pandemic P in the postseason.
That's what I'm saying, Skip. He got to show me otherwise.
Okay, so he was the target of everybody's internet wrath last year in the bubble when he admitted that he crumbled psychologically and he needed counseling in the bubble.
Right.
And everybody laughed and scoffed and ridiculed.
Right, yes.
And this year, he has been the target in the NBA for all kinds of trash talk because he has shown weakness, quote unquote, weakness and vulnerability, and they're letting him know about it in one ear and the other ear, right and left, right? Everybody's letting him know, and he has responded with a career high 42% from three and a career high 47% from the field and 87% from the free throw line. He looks like he's grown up before my eyes. He looks like this has forged him into becoming a man. And whatever manhood is in there, it's out right now. And I loved what he said yesterday, that he didn't want to talk about the Lakers. He said, this year is just about us. That's maturity. That's a new guy. I do trust him. I'm an 8 on a scale of...
Why not a 10? Like you tell me, why not a 10? Curve your conviction.
Okay.
10. Say it.
I told you he's a complimentary star. He's not the leader. He's not the alpha. But I trust him because he showed you right off the bat. Remember that first game back I know it seems like 3 years ago, but it was December 22nd. He scored 33 on opening night against your Lakers, and he lit you up. He took over the second half. Hey, in the third quarter, he went crazy. He made 6 threes in the 2 threes in the third quarter. And then 2 more in the fourth. He scored 15 and then 11. So he had 26 in the second half. Yeah. He was the reason they won the game. Right. That night, he was the alpha and the omega.
Nobody has ever questioned Paul George's ability because he can do it on both ends. We question when he can do it. Because in order for you to, if you want to have a legacy, all the greats at some point in time had to do it in the playoffs. Magic, Bird, Isaiah, Jordan, Kobe, Shaq, LeBron, KD. We can go on and on. Okay.
But do you put Paul George in that pantheon? I don't.
We talking about him. You talk about him like he that dude. He talk about himself like he that dude.
Playoff P.
No. Okay. He gave himself that name.
Okay, but it came out. Didn't somebody say it? Didn't Carmelo say it?
No. Melo, they got playoff P up here. And Melo say, well, I ain't know that what they call you.
Yeah. He scoffed at it.
Yeah, Skip.
As his teammate.
Here's the thing. Larry Bird didn't give himself the name Larry Legend. Magic didn't give himself the name Magic. Yeah. So you can't give yourself a name. It did when people light you up for it, like, man, they talking to me foul. I'm gonna be on the neck, bruh. You can't do what you did. Give yourself, say, playoff. Skip, big game James. James Worthy got the name Big Game because in the playoffs, he would always come up big. His playoff scoring average is higher than his regular season. So he got the name Big Game. You can't count yourself playoff. So that means in the playoff, Paul George going to be balling. You hit the side of the backboard. You turned the ball over. You shot an air ball. Skip, we saw this. And you remember what happened in Indy? Man, CJ got to give me that ball back. You passed it to CJ twice. And then he got to give you the ball back. Take it.
They have a new maestro. They have a man who will put them all in the correct positions to make the shot at the moment. And his name is Rondo.
It's not about being a
shot. It's playoff Rondo.
Can he make it?
Did playoff Rondo call himself playoff Rondo? No, he earned the nickname, right?
Yes.
And he earned it again last year for your Lakers. He will earn it again this year for the Clippers.
Skip, I can put you in the right spot. Skip, I can call the perfect play. Get you wide open. Are you going to catch the ball? Because at the end of that's what you got to complete this thing. So he can be in the right, Rondo can hit him right there in his pocket. Are you going to make it? He's going to make it if they down by 1, they down by 2. Or the ball game.
Made a lot of big clutch shots. He even made one the other night against Toronto. Did you remember this shot? Did you see this shot? This is a game winner. This is for the game. Okay, there it is, right in the shooting pocket. You got this, and he got that.
Hold on, time out. Are we talking about a May? You just told me a game on a Monday night. Really, Skip Bayless?
He is rebuilding his psyche right before your very eyes.
I just saw like for 4-5 games, I saw him revert back. You saw that too. You saw that also.
All I know is the Clippers by far are leading the league in three-point shooting at 42% as a team. He's 42, but they're as a team 42%. LeBron's at 37%. Free throw shooting, the Clippers as a team are shooting 84%. 84? LeBron's 70% by himself.
Let me ask you a question. So they should be number 1 in the West.
Well, they're not.
What number?
They're vying with the Nets right now for the all-time lead in offensive efficiency. They could set the record. One of the two is going to set the record.
I want to show you a play by the guy that they call Playoff P. I don't know if our viewers do. Y'all remember this? This Playoff P. That Playoff P. That's the guy Playoff P. You want to see it again?
Yep. Do we have to?
He did it again.
Yep.
Damn. That's Playoff P. Well, that's the guy you got 8 in the playoffs.
I could get 10 of those for Kawhi. I could show you 10 of those kind of shots from Kawhi Leonard in games 5, 6, and 7 against the Denver Nuggets.
Kawhi said, look at these rings, though. I got rings and things.
Yep. They did not have a quarterback. They did not have a coach on the floor. They needed somebody to settle them down so that they didn't have to dribble into three-point shots and say, is it your turn or my turn? Rondo will say, it's your turn, and here they will go. They are loaded with talent. They're the deepest team in the league.
Well, Skip, I'm not arguing about the talent is there. The question is, we're not about their talent, not about all the other Kawhi and Rondo and Marcus Morris and Zubas and Reggie Jackson. It's not about them. The question was about Paul George and what has it, since he left Indiana, those first couple of years in Indiana, now Paul George was like, Paul George, that dude. Now, if he wanted to say playoff P back then, he might have been on to something. But I'm like, whoa, bro.
So are you saying it's Paul George or bust for the Clippers?
Yeah, he has to be exceptional.
Really?
Yeah, he has to be exceptional.
Really?
Yeah.
I do not think that, because you just said Marcus Morris and Serge Ibaka.
No, Skip.
And Rondo and Batum, and they are loaded with scores. Reggie Jackson.
They are, but Paul George is the guy that can give you 30, give you 35, may get you 40, and can get it in an efficient manner. So if he does not play, if he's not consistently giving you 25, 30 points, Skip, they're not winning. They're not getting out of the West. He's going to have to be, for them to get out of the West, he's going to have to be playoff P. That's what he's going to have to be. And I'm going to need to see it. I got me some new glasses. Because I want to see it.
There's still this guy playing for the Clippers in New Balance named Kawhi Leonard.
The guy that scored 13 the other night?
Yeah.
If he hurt.
And his old team said, you cannot even get a shot up because we're going to triple team you. And he just said, okay, I'll give the ball up here. I'll give the ball up here. And who won the game? The Clippers won the game.
13. You would never do that. Now, if Goat James had scored 13 points, you going to say they saved it. So in other words, that Reggie Jackson saved it. In other words, playoff P saved Kawhi.
I just watched the Lakers with no LeBron James beat the Nuggets. I saw that.
We always beat the Nuggets.
Does that not diminish the value of LeBron James?
Didn't we do something to the Nuggets last year that y'all couldn't do? Do you remember?
I just know how bad Paul George
Do you remember that, Skip Bayless?
No mercy. 49ers CEO Jed York isn't worried about when Trey Lance makes his starting debut. York told reporters that if Jimmy Garoppolo ends up starting 2 more seasons with MVP caliber play, then it would be a good dilemma to be in with Lance sitting on the bench, waiting to get his chance. So, Shannon, would you sit Trey Lance next season?
I wouldn't go into the season with that plan. Now, Skip, Trey Lance's his ability to pick up a playbook, how well they see him play in practice and training camp and in the preseason will determine and how poorly Jimmy G plays. If Jimmy G played like he played the last couple of years, get up to that start, he gonna get up out of there early. The one thing, and the thing is that what we know, Skip, the best chance for you to win a Super Bowl is what? On a quarterback's rookie contract, because you can put all those auxiliary pieces around it. Now, we see by the time Trey Lance becomes eligible, if he's what they think he is, Skip, they're going to have to be paying quarterbacks $50 million a year because it's already 45, Patrick Mahomes, so he got 5 years. So in 5 years, Skip, it's going to be $55 million. The best way to build a championship caliber team is to have your quarterback on a rookie deal. You can put pieces around him. So Kyle Shanahan, if Kyle Shanahan is anything like his father, he's not going into the season saying, well, I want Jimmy G to start. That's going to be contingent on how soon Trey Lance is up to speed and how well Jimmy G plays. The one thing, and you people point to like Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes, I know Andy Reid. I know Red. Red is a performance guy. Alex Smith didn't give him a reason to insert Patrick Mahomes. But in '99, when they took Donovan McNabb second, Doug Peterson started by 8 or 9 games, and then it wasn't going well, and they put Donovan McNabb butt in there. So I believe that's the way it's going to play out. They're saying, we're going to see how fast this kid, how soon we can fast track him, Skip. And if he picks up the system really well, Jimmy G is playing bad. Jimmy G up out of there. It's as simple as that. Jed York, you don't trade up. You don't trade your future. It says, well, we only want to have 2 or 3 years to look at the guy to make sure we got the right guy. Kyle Shanahan's going to want to get him in there sooner than later, and that's going to be on Jimmy G. Jimmy G can make this a year thing. He can, but I don't believe he can make it a 2-year thing.
Okay. So I don't know Jed York, but I know his father, John, very well when he was running the operation.
Correct.
And I like them both. Don't know the son, but of what I know of him, and he's sharp, saying all the right things. And what he said was the correct thing to say at this moment in time, because as we speak, Trey is still 20 years of age. He turns 21 this Sunday. Happy early birthday to Trey. So he said, hey, if Jimmy gets us to another Super Bowl, wouldn't that be a great dilemma to have? Sure. That's a nice way to put it. But you just traded your next 2 first-round picks. Your next 2 years are gone because you said we're going to 3, not to 2. We're going up to 3 because we believe there's going to be a quarterback there who can take us back to the promised land and win that game, win the Super Bowl in ways that Jimmy G in the fourth quarter, when he was 4 of 11 for 36 yards with an interception and missed Emmanuel Sanders near the goal line late in the game, he couldn't pull it off. And they made a gut-level choice. And it was, it was a cutthroat choice, but they just said, we can't go win the biggest game with Jimmy G as our quarterback. In part because he hasn't stayed healthy. I know that's
injury history and turnover history.
Okay. So once you commit that much to this young man, still a very young man. Yet you're Kyle Shanahan, you're Mike Shanahan, you played for the father, you know the son. And you told me leading up to the draft 10 different times that they're willing, if the Jets take Trey Lance, they'll take whoever they don't take, and they'll be successful with whomever it is, right? And I have nothing but the highest regard for what those two can do with a young quarterback. What did they do with Robert Griffin III after they were forced to take him by the owner when they wanted to go Kirk Cousins? They had Kirk Cousins. They were able to get him in the 4th round. But what did they do with Robert that first year?
They won the division, and he was Rookie of the Year.
He was the Offensive Rookie of the Year.
He was Offensive Player of the Week in his first game as a start against New Orleans. He was on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Yeah. Do you give Kyle and Mike some credit for that? Sure you do.
Because they installed an offense, Skip, that's not what they run. They went down to Bayless, talked to Art Browns, got the system.
They did.
Yes.
And I think they're great at that offense. When they put their mind to it, they put Robert in so many great positions to be successful, and Robert just couldn't get it through his head. The game is rigged to protect you. All you do is just give yourself up.
Just give yourself up.
You just put 2 feet out in front of you, and you go down in what's called a slide.
Yep.
It's not, he's a tremendous athlete. He's a world-class athlete, has world-class speed.
Yep.
Just slide, and they can't hit you.
Can't touch you.
And he couldn't get that through his head at that point, and he paid the ultimate price for that, right?
Yeah.
It wrecked his career, and he was never quite the same.
Never the same.
Okay. I believe that Trey Lance can start game number 1. I think he's the most mature. I don't care about his age, his chronological age. I care about everything that I've heard and read about him is he is extremely mature and extremely obsessively dedicated at 20 years of age. That he is the gym rat. He is the film junkie. He has probably already broken down every tape he can break down about what the 49ers do on offense. And he's already had hours and hours with the Shannahans trying to figure it all out and process it in his head. And the North Dakota State coaches raved about his command of their offense. They gave him the whole show. You can set your own protections. You can call your audibles, your hot routes, your option routes. You call it all. And he did. And I know it's a small body of work, but it was 16-0 with 28 touchdowns and 0 interceptions.
But, Skip, you do realize Jimmy G has a decided advantage being in this offense for so long. And I've seen it happen before. I've seen we take receivers or we take a guy at a high draft pick and a guy that doesn't have nearly the talent, but because he's been in the system.
I got it.
He's so far ahead. And so I believe Jimmy G is going in with so far ahead of Trey. But we'll tell you this. If this kid picks this system up, and Kyle says, you know what? Kyle won't be afraid of starting him, Skip. That will not happen.
I think he would wear that like a badge of honor.
He will not be afraid to start this kid. But I just think Jimmy G is going to be so far ahead, and this kid has going to have so much ground to make up. I just don't know if he can make it up and beat Jimmy G out for the starting job. But I tell you what, Jimmy G turned the ball over a couple of times because we know he ain't the guy that turns it over once, Skip. He turns it over in bunches. 1, 2, 3 in a game.
Okay, remember, the offense Trey will wind up running will be a little different than the one they've catered or tailored for Jimmy G. There's going to be more read option. There's going to be more quarterback runs. There's going to be more quarterback misdirection with the running back misdirection. And it's going to be a cavalcade of runs. Because Trey Lance can flat out run with the football. He runs naturally. He runs easily. He's 4'5". He's 224 pounds. 6'4".
In the running game, they're going to rely heavily on the running game. They took Trey Sermon. They got Mostert. If they can just keep the running backs healthy, that's what this offense is really contingent on. Skip. People don't understand anything. Well, you just throw. No, everything is set up off the run.
Obviously, if this kid can just soak it all in quickly, the offense will be harder to stop with him at quarterback if he's playing at a high level. Much harder than with Jimmy G at quarterback.
Because you can do more things with him.
You can just do more things. I think he's capable. I believe they will start him in week 1. And I believe that Trey Lance will be the offensive rookie of the year just the way RG3 was. Because if he starts from the start in that offense with that coach calling his plays for him, you know and I know he's going to have a leg up on the field if he's ready for it. And it is a huge leap from North Dakota State to the
NFL in that play.
The AFC, the NFC West. You know, it's hard, man.
I mean, Skip, when they say quarterback is the hardest position, it really is, because you don't really understand what's on the quarterback's plate. I understand. I'm looking at John Elway writing notes, and I'm looking at the plate, what he's got to go through. He has to know all the protections. Well, I don't want that protection. I want you to go here. I want to be protected against him. And got to know, okay, well, Shannon got this, but Ed is my hot route. Rod is running this, and I got TD on the flare. All that Well, hold on, nah, that ain't a defense. That ain't cover two. They coming with the 5 blitz. All that on your plate. And you got to die just like that.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's up to speed, I know Kyle Shanahan because I know his dad. If he's up to speed, he's gonna play.
He's gonna play.
But they're not gonna force it. That's the one thing, they're not gonna force it.
Even camp practices are more and more restricted by the CBA. So there are only so many footballs to go around in a camp practice.
Right.
So many reps. You better be careful because how are you going to split their reps in practice? And I think you're going to go heavy for Trey?
No, Skip, it's not like you're in pads. Everything is like one thing is a meeting, and then this little bit you can do this much in pads, and you got to do. It's a totally different situation now. But I think the thing that's going to help is that they got preseason games. Remember last year, Skip, they had no games. So basically, you're just like, I think he's ready. Put him in the ball game.
I believe so strongly in Trey Lance that I hope they see their way clear to go ahead and trade Jimmy G during camp. Maybe as somebody needs a quarterback. Maybe they could get a 2-back for him. Maybe they could get out from under that salary. And to your point, if they can get a leg up with Trey this year on a rookie contract, you got dynastic potential. If he's that guy, and I believe he's that guy.
No mercy. Well, yesterday, the NBA fined both Kyrie Irving and the Nets $35,000 for violating league rules governing media interview access. In a statement from the league, they said the fine stemmed from, quote, Irving's repeated refusal to participate in team post-game media availability. So, Shannon, I'm going to start with you here. What does this tell you about Kyrie?
Kyrie doesn't do things that he doesn't want to do, and he thinks he's above the rules. It's as simple as that. Skip, that's in your contract. I don't know how, I'm assuming that NFL and, NBA and MLB contracts are written like the NFL. You got to talk.
Yep.
Especially, you have to be made available to the media if you're uninjured.
And by the way, you were one of the all-time great interviews, like after practice, after games. You were always available, but you knew it was part and parcel of the entertainment business that you were in.
It's a part of the job.
Yes.
Just like practice and meetings and playing. Talking to the media after the ball game or before practice is a part of the job
because it helps sell
the product.
Yes.
But the NBA is going at it wrong. They fined him $25,000 and the team $25,000 in December, and now they upped it to $35 and $35. You got to make it cost prohibitive. You got to drop it $200, and then the next time it's $400, and the next time it's $800. You make it so that what is $60,000 to a guy that's making $33 million? No.
Like to your point, I was looking at what it would cost Aaron Rodgers to start holding out.
Yeah.
It's cost prohibitive. Once you get to training camp, it starts to add up
It's
fast.
like $30,000 a day, and then so at the end of a month, you might be down by $10 million.
Yeah, right. Go ahead.
So but you make it cost prohibitive.
Right.
Skip. So think about guys like LeBron and Giannis and KD that's been having to do this year after year for decades. LeBron is doing this for 18 years. KD for 14. The Hardens and the Russ. Kyrie, they're not asking you to do anything they haven't asked the other great players in this league to do since the inception. This is not, they're picking on Kyrie. Skip, he said, when they find him, he's like, I'm here for peace, love, and greatness. So stop distracting me and my team and appreciate the art. We move different over here. I do not talk to pawns. My attention is worth more. Skip.
That was his response after the first
fight. After the first fight in December.
Yep.
We appreciate the art.
I don't talk to pawns, meaning
we're not
reporters are pawns.
Yeah, we're not asking you about your personal life. We want to ask you about the game. Kyrie, what happened? You guys played well. You got to your spot. You got KD involved. Yada. I don't get what he's getting at. I understand that. Like I said, Kyrie has gone through a transformation. What the George Floyd and the Kenosha, it impacted him. It touched him in a different way than it touched a lot of other people.
Yep.
And I commend him because he has a big heart. Give to the WNBA.
He has a big brain.
Give to HBCUs. Yep. He's given to paid the tuition for 9 students. So Kyrie, you can't do this, bruh. Don't. I get it, but just fulfill your obligations and then move on about your way.
Yep. So you know how big a fan I am of Kyrie Irving on the court because he's not just he's a great player.
Yeah.
He is a great clutch shooter. He's proven it again at Milwaukee the other night. He was making big clutch threes. They didn't quite get home. KD missed a couple of his. But the point is, I try so hard to light Kyrie off the floor, and I can't. He makes it impossible. He has high IQ. He has high basketball IQ, but he has high IQ off the floor. And I'm always fascinated by all his theories, some of them a little crackpotish, but he's got theories because he's a thinker. He's a deep thinker, and I love that and appreciate that about him. But in the end, he makes a ton of money to play basketball. And it is an art form, and I get that. And he calls himself an artist. But in the end, he's part of a big entertainment business. Right. And this is just part of what you have to do to make your checks. What's he making? I didn't even look it up. $33 million. $33 million he's making. And you're asked occasionally to go sit on these Zoom interviews.
They're not even, I don't really think they're in the room anymore, Skip. They're on Zoom. You're on Zoom cam.
And here's the painful irony of Kyrie's Zoom interviews or any interviews. They're great. He is enthralling. Mm-hmm. He is captivating. Mm-hmm. He can really talk. And yet, every once in a while, he says, this is beneath me. I'm better than this. You reporters, you're just pawns in the game of life. Do you remember Blazing Saddles? You don't know Blazing Saddles.
I do, but I remember Blazing Saddles.
I'm just a pawn in the game of life. Okay.
That was the guy that played the Detroit Lions, Alex Karras. Yeah, Cleavon Little.
He was a really good football player.
He was.
Yeah, Cleavon Little was great. Okay, so the point is that Kyrie, to me, is, I'll quote my friend Tom House, the throwing coach for Brady and Breeze and all the top quarterbacks. He once told me many years ago when he was the pitching coach to the Texas Rangers that so many of the players that he coaches are victims of what he calls suspended adolescence, meaning they've been spoiled and coddled for so long that they never got forced to grow up.
Right.
And unless you have some trauma in your life, some travesty in your life, if everything's roses for you to a certain level, and for Kyrie it's pretty much been a pretty nice ride, then you're not forced to suddenly grow up right before your very eyes. And right now, I think he's stuck in suspended adolescence. He doesn't get the big picture yet of just how blessed he's been and how it's important to the team for him to speak as a team leader. Because if you don't speak, especially about a controversy, as you always say, well, then everybody else has got to speak for you. If you're not there, remember, he didn't even inform his coach at that point, the rookie coach, Steve Nash, about his hiatus, his sabbatical that he was taking. What's going on? What's up? Nobody knows. Well, that's Kyrie. He has played 49 of 66 games this year, and when he plays, he has played great.
Oh, you can't question his play. No. He's spectacular.
Okay, so now it's starting to boil down to Kyrie. Are you worth it? Because we're about to find out, right?
Yeah.
Are you worth it? You with KD and James, a lot of people are going to expect you to win the East and maybe win it all. Right?
Yes.
Okay, you're going to have to, if you're going to shut up after games, then you're going to have to put up during games, right?
Well, you can't, because I think that's where the NBA, the Commissioner Silver will step in and the fines will be increased. If you don't talk after a playoff game, it's going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's when they're going to make it cost prohibitive. But I don't understand. Kyrie, you have a product. You have the Kyrie shoe. A part of that is,
true.
Come on, bro. Like I said, Skip, they're not asking this man, about his kids, about his family and all that other stuff. They just want to talk to you about the game. You say something, you got to understand. When you say something about, well, we don't need a coach, they're going to ask you about that. Yeah. Don't get mad about reporters doing their job asking you about something that you said. They didn't ask you, what do you think about Steve Nash as a coach? Yep. You just volunteered that. So when they ask you, you're trying to make something out of it. How do we make something to say out of it when you said we don't need a coach? We're going to coach ourselves. But sometimes I don't get these players. Like you said, Skip, they think short term, they think narrow sided. It's about me. But it's about league, expanding the league, giving access, and that. So I don't get his point in this situation here.
LeBron has always gotten that. LeBron almost always, I think he always speaks.
Yes.
And when he speaks, it's not good, it's great. Because he always has something, like every post-game press session with LeBron is just, it's grist for the mill, man. We're always talking. He always gives you something after a game that is intriguing and interesting.
You were around. You were covering the league when they played. Do you ever remember Michael not talking to the media?
No,
Magic, Larry.
Michael was the first one to say, I will not speak until I am cleaned up.
He was fully dressed. Go have an earring in his
Yeah, everything.
He was going to be suited and booted. Now, I mean, a lot of guys, most of the time, guys like, well, let's just go ahead and get this out of the way. They have the ice on their knees, Skip. They still be in their shorts and things like that. They just want to get it over. Mike said, nah. I'm the attraction. I know y'all want to talk to me, so I'm going to ice my knees. I'm going to get in the tub. I'm going to shower. I'm going to get dressed. And guess what? Y'all 300 guys and gals will be still sitting right here waiting on me to talk.
We often had to wait at least an hour.
Yes.
He would be the last one in, and he would be the best one.
Yes, but that comes along with the territory, Kyrie. You want to be a superstar? A part of being a superstar is talking to the media.
Correct.
It just is, Skip.
Well, he might be able to continue to get away with it if he goes and carries them to a championship. But we're about to find out.
No, but they're going to expect him to speak more. The better he plays, the more they're going to want to talk to him. And the commissioner is going to want to like Kyrie. Now,
agreed.
We're business partners now.
Yeah, what I don't understand is he can use the media to his advantage, which, I mean, I've worked as a sideline reporter, I still do, and I just don't understand. He can do his job for them. It just being easy goes a long way. I would have loved to interview you, Shannon, in the locker room after your days. I feel like that would have been a great interview. Always something to say.
No mercy. Los Angeles, the epicenter of the NBA. The Clippers win round one with the Lakers.
Two great teams battling on Christmas.
Beverly all over him. James, step back, knocked out of his hands. The Clippers with a huge win. LeBron forces the issue, gets his own rebound and puts it back up and in. Wow, what a game. Paul George, wow, what a shot. The line in the sand has been drawn. Either you're a Clipper fan or a Lakers fan.
Look at that go.
Oh, too good. But unfortunately, that GOAT is expected to miss tonight's game against the Clippers as well as tomorrow night's game against the Blazers. LeBron has now seen an ankle specialist and will reportedly be cautious before returning to play. So, Shannon, if LeBron can get relatively healthy for the playoffs, how much will this rest help him?
Well, this is really not a rest, Skip, because he's rehabbing. This is different than the bubble. Because LeBron going into the bubble, he was not injured. You got to realize they got off from basically the middle of February, beginning of March, all the way to June. So that was
like 4 months.
Like 4 months. So that was considered a rest. He had no injury. Now this is a totally different situation. I can see, Skip, if he was going to take next 3 games off, they were first to second seed, and he was just like getting his body ready. Nah. He needs to be on the court getting timing together with AD and Drummond, getting timing together with Ben McLemore. So this is a very different situation than what we're used to seeing. There's a reason why, Skip, teams are not resting guys now. Guys are having to play, even though, there's some guys that need to rest. James Harden is not resting. James Harden is rehabbing a hamstring issue. Yep. Kevin Durant was rehabbing a hamstring. They weren't resting. So, Skip, I just believe this is a very different situation than what we saw last year, where guys had a 4-month layoff and got a lot of rest. Guys were able to come back 100% healthy and go right at it. This is not the same situation. So, for me, I look at it as LeBron is missing crucial time getting chemistry. AD's been gone. AD went out a month before LeBron got injured. So they really only played a couple of games, and now they're out again. He's only played 2 games with Drummond. So those are going to be the big starters having to try to figure this out in a game, which is very, very tough. So for me, serious injury. We know high ankle sprains. Michael Thomas missed a significant amount of time, and he wasn't the same when he came back. And Christian McCaffrey missed the better part of the last half of the season with an ankle injury. So LeBron isn't going to be close to 100%, but you got to make the best of the situation that you're in.
Okay. So I do agree with your first point. Last year, LeBron James got the greatest break of his career, and it was because of a pandemic.
Right.
Who saw that coming? And so for 4 months, not only he, but the whole league was forced to stop.
Yep.
And it helped him because wear and tear, it just let him refresh and revitalize and get ready for a bubble experience that was going to be psychologically tough on everybody all the same. Because nobody had any reps up to that point. Nobody had played any games or been able to really practice together because it was against the rules. So they all wind up and played, how many games?
I think it was
8. 8 games.
8 games.
To the playoffs. So you barely had time to figure out each other, but nobody else had any time either.
Correct.
So everybody was in that same boat, down in that same town, stuck in those same hotels.
Right.
Day after night after day after night. So in the end, a bunch of teams didn't want to be stuck in that bubble. I'll never forget the famous Jared Dudley quote, them boys didn't want to be in that bubble talking about the Clippers because I don't think they wanted to be there. And it manifested itself in games 5, 6, and 7 when mentally, psychologically, they were not there. They sort of quit on Doc. They sort of went to battle with Doc. It was a wreck and a mess because Montrez was a problem in the locker room, and they finally had to go part ways with Montrez. So the point was LeBron benefited because once the playoffs started last year, he was flying.
Right.
He was healthy. He was fresh. He was excited. He smelled blood in the bubble because he knew a lot of teams weren't going to be into it psychologically, and he believed he could keep his team together longer than other leaders could.
And you mentioned it. They had 8 games. I think LeBron played 6 or 7 of those games to get himself ready to go into the playoffs. Now, he might not have that, and so now conditioning is going to be an issue. You know, it's hard to get conditioned like there's nothing conditions you like playing the sport that you're actually playing. So playing one-on-one basketball, playing 5-on-5, that gets you in condition to actually play in the game. Riding a stationary bike does not get you in shape. You know, it keeps you loose. You see guys ride a stationary bike on the sideline during the course of the game. That keeps you loose, but that doesn't get you in shape for the game. I just don't really know how well conditioned he's going to be. And, you know, the playoffs is a whole different, you know, you go regular season and then you go, and as the rounds go up, the intensity goes up.
Okay. So this is completely different, to your point, because the other teams haven't stopped. They're all trying to figure it out. The Clippers on the fly, they'll see them tonight, are trying to figure it out with a bunch of new players. Kawhi's been in and out. Paul George has mostly been in, but they haven't had Serge. Maybe they'll have him back. Who knows? Maybe tonight.
Right.
But they're trying to figure it out. The Nets are still trying to figure it out as soon as James comes back.
They've only had, 7 games.
Okay. But still, they've had some games together.
Right.
And all of a sudden, LeBron is going to have, it's more about the reps with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He's there now, and he's a force for better and for worse. He's a force in the paint. He goes and he camps in the paint, and if you get him the ball at the right moment, he's pretty hard to stop from scoring the basketball.
And that's the fine line, Skip. How do I give him enough touches to keep him engaged, to keep him playing hard, rebounding the basketball, challenging shots on the defensive end, but not so much that it stagnates our offense? Because like you said, Skip, we dump it down to him. We expected him to probably back up, you know, and go to the hole. So that's the fine line LeBron is trying to run. I got to give him some touches because I want to keep him engaged. I want to keep him crashing the offensive end and playing defense, but I don't want to get too much of it that it gets all the other guys out of their rhythm because we haven't had to play with a guy like that. Skip, they wasn't giving no balls to JaVale. They wasn't dumping it down to him. Get it off the rim, dunk it, or we throw you the lob. Dwight Howard, get it off the rim, or we'll throw you a lob. They weren't feeding the ball into him and hoping they make something with that.
Okay. And now Schroeder's out.
Yes.
So, and LeBron hasn't had that many reps with Schroeder. So they're going to get thrown into the playoffs. I'll knock on wood for LeBron that he gets 90% healthy, because if he's 90%, he'll have a shot. And yet, will he have a shot on his conditioning and his cohesiveness with the rest of them? I don't know, because that's going to be hard.
It is. It is. Because the thing is, Skip, normally LeBron plays about the first 6 minutes of the ball game, comes out for 4, plays 2. But the thing is, when you're dealing with that ankle, Skip, the thing that you need to do is keep the blood flowing. So when you come out, Skip, guess what? That thing starting to stiffen up. If you notice, he got the band. He's still trying to keep that blood flowing. And then you go into the half, 20 minutes.
I agree. On bad ankles, the more you can run, the better. The more you can keep it moving, the better.
Trust me, I know.
If you sit down, no good.
It's over.
Yep.
It's over.
It can be over because you can't, like, start icing it or it'll really just clam up.
It'd be stiff. It's stiff.
Okay, and I'm going to throw this out. As he's become more of an entertainment world baron, LeBron is savoring his cigars and his wine. And I don't know if he does it every night or not, but it gets tougher to get back in shape when that's more of your lifestyle. And I have nothing against the lifestyle, but I watched Michael Jordan at the end. It was too much. After a while, it just got him where you can't overcome it. Once he got to Washington, he never quite got back in what I would call premium condition.
Mike was on them sticks too hard. Mike doing 3 to 5 sticks of them slow burning sticks. So man, you imagine burning them lungs, man. So Mike couldn't do it. But Skip, like me, Mike, he in the hyperbaric chamber. I know he in the hyperbaric chamber. As a matter of fact, I got me one.
You're saying LeBron?
Yeah, LeBron. I got to get me a hyperbaric chamber because I'm training for something.
What are you training for?
Don't worry about it. You go see the transformation. Man, I ain't run no triathlon. They tried to get me to run one time.
Yeah?
Yeah. That would be a nice sum of money, too.
It's not just run one, it's swim one.
Yeah, that was the part. that was the part to go get me. I was going to be done. Man, 2-mile swim. At 200 yards, I could have got it.
Yeah.
I need to do one of them, but I can't do the 2-mile swim.
Okay. What are you training for? You don't know.
I ain't training for that. I just want to maximize my condition. Okay. I got me a hyperbaric chamber. I got me one of them infrared beds.
Mm-hmm. Really?
Oh, Jesus.
I want one of those.
Because what you said yesterday, you said something that kind of stuck in my craw. It kind of rubbed me the wrong way, Skip Bayless.
I'm your Jordan Love.
Oh, I know.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, I know.
I
That kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
There's no way you're in Tim Tebow's league as a blocker.
We are not going there again.
What league is
We're
that?
not going
What
there.
league is that?
Skip, that was yesterday. This is today.
What league is
It's
that?
the Heavenly League.
Shannon's got a hyperbaric chamber. He's got the red light therapy.
I got the infrared bed.
Works.
What
Yeah,
do they need?
works.
Sauna. It's just okay. Shannon doesn't forget, and now I know. Now I know what he's training for.
No mercy.
Julio Jones wasn't dealt during the draft, but that doesn't mean he'll be staying put in Atlanta. After having a discussion with the Falcons GM, Peter King said that he feels there is still a greater than 50-50 chance Julio is traded. Shannon, would you trade Julio?
Not especially after the draft,
No.
Skip. I don't know how trading Julio now and getting a draft pick for the 2022 draft helps you in 2021. Now, if I want to get up off him, I'd try to make a move unless you're going to give me a defensive player of equal value of Julio Jones. So if you can get a defensive player, Skip, of the equal value of Julio, but do you understand? Teams are not getting off those guys. A value of Julio Jones, you're talking about a Khalil Mack. You're talking about like a Jalen Ramsey, a guy like that, Skip, a Devin White. Teams are not getting off those guys. So for me, I wouldn't trade Julio because I think now you just get into a situation like Matt Ryan. I need you to be MVP, Matt Ryan. I know what Calvin really had almost 1,400 yards. We got Kyle Pitts, Julio, and we basically just going out there trying to outscore everybody, Skip. We just trying to be the greatest show on turf, 3.0 or 2.5 or whatever you want to call it, and score as many points as we possibly can, knowing that we're not as good defensively as we need to be. So we just going to put pressure on you that way. And Arthur Smith, I like his story, Skip. I was doing a little, I don't know if people know who his dad is. His dad is Fred Smith, CEO and founder of FedEx. And he started out in Washington. And he believed he could move up, but he said, you know what, I need to go to a different organization. Because if I move up here in the ranking, you're going to say because my dad is a minority owner. That's the only reason I got where I got to. So he's like, nah, I'm going to do my own thing. And he's made a name for himself in Tennessee. So I think he's going to do a very good job with this team in Atlanta. But I would not trade Julio, Skip, unless you're going to give me a Jalen Ramsey, a Khalil Mack, a Devin White type of a player. Unless you're going to do that, I ain't trading him.
Well, maybe if somebody thinks as highly of Julio as you do, they would give you that kind of player.
But Tampa's not going to do it. Rams not going to do it. So Chicago?
Maybe. Okay. Would they give you Khalil Mack straight up? I doubt it. Okay. I would trade Julio. And I'm back to that old baseball axiom from the great Branch Rickey, who always said you should trade a player 1 year before you think you should. He might be developing chronic hamstring issues. It happens later in careers to receivers of this quality because he is obviously freakish in size, speed, and hands. Freakish. Maybe we haven't seen much like him except Megatron.
Right.
And I believe Kyle Pitts is the new Megatron. I don't even think he's a tight end. He's just some sort of hybrid receiver that you can split out wide and throw to him. And we agree that Kyle Pitts, I think, is going to be the best player at his position in this entire draft. So Atlanta said, we got Kyle Pitts. So you look at Julio, and 2 years ago, your favorite website, Pro Football Focus, ranked him second overall among receivers in just pure grade. Last year, he fell to 9th, but he only played 9 games. So he's 32. This is his 11th. He'll be going into his 11th season. at some point you're going to get some diminishing returns for Julio. So you better be careful if depending on what's out there. And if you wait until after June 1st, you could save $15 million in cap space if you move him.
Right.
Not all bad, depending on what you get back. And I agree with your premise. You didn't get anything pre-draft.
Right.
But it was going to cost you a lot more in salary cap, dead money, if you moved him before the draft. So they're smart to wait, and I believe Peter King's onto something because he almost always is. So that there's a more likely than not chance they will move him.
Right.
Okay, so what do I see from a distance in Julio? Well, he's not your basic alpha because he's not the leader of the team, and there's only one guy that I was ever around who served that role as a receiver, and that was Michael Irvin in Dallas, Texas. He was the leader of the dynastic Cowboys. He couldn't sometimes lead himself off the field, but that's a whole nother story. But on the field, he was the rocket fuel for that team. And that's why I've always made the case to you. To me, the most valuable receiver I've ever encountered, including Jerry Rice, was Michael Irvin, the playmaker.
Right.
He made huge plays on 3rd and 8 with and for Troy Aikman, and he was always the fire starter in the locker room, in the huddle, on the bench. He just motivated an entire very talented football team.
Right.
I don't get that from Julio. He seems more follower than leader, or just unto himself.
Yeah, he's very much to himself.
Yeah.
And he's one of the few receivers of his ilk that you throw in 3 balls, he's going to be happy. You throw in 15 balls, he's going to be happy. He just wants to play football and win. He's not vocal. He's not Michael Irvin in that aspect.
Nope.
He's not a Chris Carter. He's not one of these guys that's vocal and going to get in guys' face. He's just like, I'm going to go do my job. I'm going to lead by example. And that's not always the best way, but that's the way that he knows. And for me, Skip, I believe he's going to go for 1,500 yards. Because you look at the numbers, he was on pace for 1,500 yards again. That's what he does. 1,500 yards, just Julio healthy, 1,500 yards. He missed 2 or 3 games, Skip. I mean, he had, 3-4 games of 250 or better. Most guys only have 1 in their career. He has 3. He has that kind of ability.
But you just said Julio healthy.
Yes.
You sure?
I believe it. He has, for the most part, Skip, he's never been injured in back-to-back seasons. So for me, I'm gonna hang my hat on that. Atlanta, Skip, they was 4-12 last year, but they blew big leads to Dallas, started 0-5. They were 2-8 1-score games. Only the Jags were worse. So you see a break here or there, get a defense, get a stop here or there. You're looking at a different Atlanta team. They're not, picking 4th.
Yep.
I wouldn't trade Julio.
By the way, what happened at 0-5? Dan Quinn got fired.
Yeah.
And what soon happened after that?
They went a little hot streak. They won a couple games. No,
Dan Quinn got hired by my team to save the day after his defense was one of the worst in pro football once again.
But you and I
don't get it.
But
that's just me.
They beat the Cowboys.
Yep.
They win at Chicago when they had a 17-point lead.
Yep.
We might be looking at a different team. Skip.
Maybe.
You start losing games early, it's hard to flip it around.
Okay, but if you trade Julio, have you lost a big part of the psyche of the team or sort of the guts of the locker room? I don't think so. Because he's unto himself.
Well, we're gonna find out. Because if you trade Julio, now I can center my attention on Calvin Ridley. So now I got less people to worry about.
Okay, I would trade him. I would move him, especially if his value is as high. If the rest of the league is seeing him right now as you see him, and I don't, you should move him and get. Thank you. What he's, you should maximize his worth right now.
I wouldn't trade him.
Okay.
All right. Well,
Julios
guys,
don't grow on trees.
No, that is true. But if they do trade him, this according to Fox Bet, the Lions are the favorites to land him. So something to keep in mind, followed by Jags, Colts, and Jets. So just according to Fox Bet, so you have that.
No mercy.
Sunday on FS1, the stars of NASCAR go old school with the throwback race from Darlington. Catch some of the most iconic rides as they hit the track for the Goodyear 400. It all starts Sunday at 3:30 Eastern on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. Some throwback music. I'm ready for it. The heavy MVP favorite, according to Fox Bet Sportsbook, Nikola Jokic dropped 32 points and 12 rebounds in an easy 113-97 win over the red-hot Knicks last night. Meanwhile, Joel Embiid had his own big game last night. The Philly big man had 34 points, 12 rebounds, and a 135-115 win over the Rockets on the road. So, Shannon, which player would you want in the playoffs?
Yoke. Easy night. Jenny ain't tell you he had 24 in the first quarter and blew it open.
Oh,
the game
sorry.
was over in the first quarter.
It was.
Okay. I went with them Knicks. Stay out my inbox, Knicks fans. You ain't going nowhere. Leave me alone. I ain't bothering nobody over here. Skip, you look at Nikola Jokic. 26 points, 11 rebounds, 8.5 assists, 57% shooting, 40 from the three, 86 from the free throw line. Joel Embiid, 29, 11, and 3. What are we talking here? And for all that, Joel Embiid is number one in the East. They won one more game than Jokic. And Jokic is doing this without the second best player on his team. He's 10-2 since Jamal Murray went down. It's over. Do you realize that Nikola Jokic is only a half assist a game behind Chris Paul? And they got Chris Paul in the MVP discussion, right? Nikola Jokic averages about 10 points more, 7 more rebounds, and only a half assist fewer than Chris Paul. So he can do everything. He can score, run the offense. One of the best passers in the league. He's on pace to pass Wilt Chamberlain with the most assists in a season for a center. Sound like MVP to me. Sound like MVP. I just give you look at him. You look at his body. You're like, man, that joke ain't gonna do nothing. He one of them guys that show up at the park and you like he ain't gonna do nothing. And next thing you know, you're on the sideline telling me, I don't know how that sorry joker beat me. That's him.
Okay. So that's who you want in the postseason.
I want him because have you ever seen? I seen that guy. What he did. You saw what he did last year to your Clippers. Do you remember that, right? Okay.
They did it to themselves.
No, don't do that. Skip, don't do that.
Stop it. So if you're in the park and you see 21 coming, what do you think? You think, oh, my God.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You say, I want him on my team, and I do not want to play against 21. That's what they say in the NBA every night. We don't want any part of that. I don't love 21 for my Cowboys anymore, but I love that 21.
Skip.
I'll take him any day or any night over number 15 for the Nuggets. Any day
Skip,
or night.
the guy, you know it.
Yeah.
Skip, you watch it. You just watch it, Skip, and I know it's unorthodox. You look at him, he ain't posterizing anybody. He ain't hyping up the crowd. He ain't doing anything like this here. He don't do that when the guys, he don't do none of that. He just come off the court, he got 30, 12, and 8. That's all he got.
Who you want protecting your rim? 21 in blue over there or 15?
Skip,
I'll take 21 any day or night.
You make it seem like he Rudy Gobert.
Yeah.
He not. He
can be.
Give me Yoke.
He can be a terror.
Skip, Skip, it's okay.
I will take power plus finesse over just pure finesse because the guy on the right is pure finesse.
He giving you buckets. He giving folks fits.
Well, not as many buckets as Embiid gives you.
But hold on. When you average in the points and the assists, he's giving you more than Joel Embiid.
Well, I got that, but not.
They shoot the same. They shoot the same from the free throw line. They're about to. He's better than Joel from the three because you love the three. You love big men that can shoot three. He's 40% and 57% from the floor. Joel Embiid is 51% from the floor. So he's more efficient, giving you as many rebounds, more assists, and a few 3 points fewer. Give me Yoke. MVP. I told you he was going to win it.
You did. You got me on that one. And I just told you about Aaron Rodgers. That MVP is worth the cost of what it takes to make that trophy. That's the end of that.
So let me ask you a question.
Yep.
You think Joel Embiid is going to win the NBA Finals?
I think they got a real shot if he stays healthy, and that's always the big if. Because where you got me on MVP was Yoke has played 66 games. That's all of them. That's every last one. That's more games than anybody in the whole league played. So he just outlasted everybody. He just simply showed he went to work more than anybody else. Embiid made it 47 games. So it's 66 games to 47 games.
19 missed.
Okay. And he hyperextended his knee, and I was afraid he's gone for the year. But he came back, and he looks 100% fit
and we saw how they looked when they didn't have big Ben Simmons. One guy's won 10 games without his second best player.
So there's a very good piece that's up on ESPN.com right now by Kirk Goldsberry, and the headline is, "Don't let the MVP argument distract from Embiid's greatness." And Kirk calls it a breakout season for Joel Embiid, and he says, the story here is Embiid and the new-look 76ers appear to be evolving into one of the most sustainable contenders in the NBA. That is correct.
Hold on. So what you think the Nuggets? Now, you do realize Michael Porter Jr. is only in his second year. He only going to get better. Now, you let Jamal Murray come back from that injury. Because think about it, Skip. Jamal Murray did not get off to the great start. We didn't see the Jamal Murray that ended the bubble to start the regular season. And Yoke carried him. So I'm going to give him some credit for that, Skip.
Guess who has taken and made more jump shots than anybody on the Sixers team? That guy, Embiid, has. He's made 40% of his jump shots. That includes threes and two-point jump shots. And he's made 44% of his two-point shots, which is just extraordinary. I'm talking about touch. He's got touch. He's got finesse, and he can pass the basketball.
Skip, he ain't got touch like Yoke. Skip, that one-foot jumper, you know that one-foot jumper from the corner? That's money. That's money. He can put that 1 foot, right foot, left foot, it doesn't matter. Skip, like I said, I get it. You look at Jokic, and you're like, that Joker ain't gonna do nothing. He can't posterize nobody. He can't even jump over a phone book. They don't even make phone books anymore. But you remember, they used to make them, they about this high. He can't jump over that.
Embiid can carry you farther than Jokic can carry you.
My guy carried him to the Western Conference Final. Where Jokic carried him? Now, you know he got stomach problems, right? I'm just waiting on... the Gerber baby food, the broccoli and carrots didn't do him well. Don't do that, Skip.
Gerber baby.
The Clippers are going to win the West anyway.
No mercy. Well, the Lakers were able to upset the Nuggets on Monday with no LeBron or Dennis Schroeder, but find themselves as underdogs again tonight. The Clippers are favored by 7.5 points tonight over AD and the Lakers, who are fighting to avoid that play-in game. So, Shannon, what shot do you give the Lakers to pull off another upset tonight?
I mean, anything's possible, but I don't see that happening. I don't see what they did against the Nuggets. I don't see that playing out the same way. Playing without Schroeder, playing out with LeBron again. They played unbelievable basketball. Currently, the Clippers and the Nuggets are tied for the third spot, Skip. And basically, I think everybody's trying to stay out of that third spot because they don't want to possibly the Lakers get the sixth spot, and you don't want to see the Lakers in the first round with LeBron, even though he's probably going to be nicked at that point. Fox Bet has the Clippers a 7.5-point favorite. So I'll say there's a 42% chance they win. 42?
You think they cover?
Nah, I say it's going to be close, and then, they probably end up winning by 10.
I respect and I do fear these Lakers because I got to tell you, they looked a little better without the King the other night. I thought they played hard. They played great defense.
Why you do this?
They still got 2/3 of the big three, and they got the big penguin.
Why you do this?
Well, they got AD and the penguin. I mean, that's some firepower.
AD might go for 40 tonight.
He might go for 40.
Drum will give us 15 and 15.
Yep.
Yeah. Give me 7.5.
Give you 7.5?
Give me 7.5.
No, I think you're going to cover.
No, I'm not doing it.
I'm not doing it. I got Clippers barely surviving 102-100 when playoff P hits a last-second game winner.
Y'all got playoff P, y'all got playoff Rondo, y'all got Kawhi, y'all got Marcus Morris, you got Luke Kennard.
I'm not doing it. All I know is I got 5 cases bet on them going 5-2, and it starts tonight.
We win tonight, it's over.
Yeah. It's over.
Yeah, I'm about to make my bet go 6-0.
Okay.
Okay, all eyes on AD in a lot of ways. That is it for Undisputed. Guys, great stuff today. The Herd is on right now. Have a good day.